Well, this should be good. Today I'm comparing a Warmoth Stratocaster replacement neck, officially licensed by Fender, to a genuine Fender Stratocaster replacement neck, so stick around. Hey everybody, it is Aaron at Warmoth, and inside this box is a Warmoth Stratocaster replacement neck, officially licensed by Fender. Inside this box is a genuine Fender Stratocaster replacement neck, and I don't know if they officially call them replacement necks, but it's a Fender Strat neck that you don't buy connected to the guitar, so I would assume a replacement neck is what it's marketed as, so I'm going to call it a replacement neck. Anyway, I thought it would be really fun and educational to compare both of these necks, and I'm going to start by just opening them right in front of you. So let's start with the Warmoth neck. Comes in this triangular box. And by the way, I've already cut the tape, but this is, you know, to make it easy to show you. But you pop it open, there's the neck inside there in this foam protective layer. And there it is. And I should say that this, as you see it here, retails for $344. So let's just say 350 bucks. Now let's open the Fender. Comes in a rectangular box. And inside it is another box. It's double boxed. This box is a super fancy box. And then once you get it open, it's in a protective foam layer also. Sounds like I'm making balloon animals. And there it is. And by the way, this is a Fender 57 reissue, I think, neck. And as you see it here, it retails for $799. So we'll just say 800 bucks. Here they are, side by side. Fender, obviously. You can tell because it says Fender on the headstock. And the Warmoth replacement neck. And by the way, these are both built in America. This is built in Corona, California. This is built in Puyallup, Washington. And I guess I'll just go over the specs of each one really quick, and then I'll do a little compare and contrast. This is a, I believe, 1957 reissue Strat neck in nitro gloss. It's got vintage size frets. The nut width is 1650, and I believe it has a bone nut. It's got the vintage style truss rod at the end, at the heel end, and just 21 frets, no overhang. I see so many differences. I'm so used to looking at Warmoth necks that I spot so many little differences right out of the gate, but I'll go over those in a minute. Let's look at the Warmoth replacement neck. The nut width on this one is 1 5/8, but you can also get it in 1/650 if you like, and several other nut widths. We put vintage frets on this. Oh, and by the way, both necks are maple with a walnut skunk stripe in the back. The Warmoth neck doesn't have a logo, obviously. We don't put logos on our headstocks, but it has all the branding on the heel that Fender requires as part of our license with them. This is vintage construction. We sell 3 constructions of necks. This is vintage construction, very similar to Fender's. It has the truss rod adjust at the heel, and it's 21 frets with no overhang. Both of these are 7 1/4 radius. So those are kind of the basic specs. Oh, we do not do bone nuts. This is a tusk nut that we do. We do several kinds of different kinds of nut materials, but we don't do bone. This is tusk. So let me go over some of the things that I spot right away. If you look at the Fender neck, it is much more rounded over in all of the edges. Like the headstock edges are very rounded over, and like this area right here, these points are very rounded over, whereas a Warmoth, they're more crisp. There's more of a point here. It isn't so rounded over. Other differences, well, like I said, they've cleaned the finish off the frets. Warmoth does not. I don't know if you can see that, but the Warmoth frets look yellow right now because they have finish over the top of them. And the edge of the fretboard is a little bit more rounded, or a little bit more rolled on the Fender neck. On ours, it is not rolled. So those are the basic similarities and differences, but there are some other ones that are more subtle that I will point out. If you are a die-hard Fender fan, you may already know these, but if you look at the way that the headstock and the heel blend into the neck, we do ours very different than Fender. If you look at a Fender neck, they usually have kind of a V shape right here as it blends into the neck. You can kind of see that, where ours does not. Ours has more of just kind of a round shape right there, but it doesn't have the characteristic V shape that Fenders have. The transition from the back of the headstock into the back of the neck is different. You can see that we have kind of a more distinct line right there, whereas as with all the edges here, Fender's is just more kind of rolled over and rounded into the neck. Very interesting. I don't know if I said this already, but this had the contours on these are very different. This has kind of a soft V. Warmoth doesn't really quite sell a profile like this. Probably our closest would be a boat neck. The Clapton, I think, is a more sharp V, whereas this is more of a soft V. So it might be our boat neck would be the closest to this. And this is thicker. This is just our standard C-shape profile, our standard thin. But again, that's not really a difference because we offer so many different profiles on the back of our neck that you can get any profile. And I think maybe a 59 round back, although that's more round. This is a soft V. So I'm going to go with boat neck as being the closest that we offer, but our boat neck is thicker. Another thing that I see people talk about from time to time is the thickness of the headstock. Our headstocks are just a tad thicker than Fenders. And the reason for that is because we're trying to be compatible with as many different kinds of tuners as we can. Whereas Fender isn't concerned with that. So let's talk about why our necks don't look more like Fenders if we're officially licensed by Fender. Well, the license that we have from Fender is to use the headstock shapes. That's it. That's all. That's the whole thing. It doesn't mean that we get templates from Fender or that we got instructions on how to make Fender replacement necks from Fender. All the development on our necks we did ourselves, and we did them back 45 years ago, back in 1980, and even before that in the late 70s, which was, notoriously a time when Fender was owned by CBS and making not so good necks. And a lot of players were looking for a replacement neck that was better, and so that's what Warmoth set out to do. We never, back then, like copying a Fender neck right down to the gnat's eyelash, that wasn't a thing. We wanted to make a better neck, and that was our goal then, and it always has been, to make a better neck, to make the best replacement necks in the biz. And so we designed, this, with the exception of the headstock shapes, this neck was designed by us, as were our vintage modern, this is a vintage construction, as were our vintage modern and modern necks. Those designs are ours. We just use the headstock shape because that's what players wanted. And so we've stuck with those designs. We feel like they're the best replacement necks on the market, and we've stuck with those designs, but we continue to use Fender headstock shapes that we're licensed for. So that's why this, this taper here is different. That's why this taper here is different. That's why, you'll see things like the sharper edges around the headstock rather than the, the more rounded over and rounded points that you'll see on a Fender. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's why we don't follow all those little idiosyncrasies. Another reason why we don't try and follow those idiosyncrasies is because they change from era to era. So it's a little bit of a moving target. We just do what we do. We've designed the best necks that we think are out there, and we use Fender headstock shapes on them. So the question is, which one should you buy? Well, if you get a Fender, you're going to get some pretty cool stuff. You're going to get the Fender decal. You will have a genuine Fender neck. You get better packaging, as we've already seen. But your options are very limited. So you can't necessarily, they do sell a couple different replacement necks, so you can get a rosewood board. You can get maybe a different contour if you buy a different, this, like I said, this is a 57 reissue, but if you buy just the standard replacement neck, you can get a slightly different contour, but you can't choose what contour you want out of a range of contours. With a Warmoth, you can choose many different options. Pretty much every aspect of this neck is selectable. You can get a bunch of different contours, you can get a bunch of different fretboard radii, you can get a bunch of different fret sizes and materials, different nut. You can get not just maple and rosewood, but you can get 20 different woods. You can probably get 100 different wood combinations on this. If you want a Wenge neck back and a figured Zero-Coat fretboard, you can get that. If you want a solid rosewood neck, you can get that. You can get it routed for any kind, or reamed for any kind of tuners that you want. You can, of course, get 3 different kind of constructions: vintage, modern, or modern. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. Oh, you can get different nut widths. You can get 22 frets or 24 fret overhangs. You can get, there's so many things. You can get them in a Gibson scale if you want. Like I said, I'm forgetting stuff. Oh, inlays. You can get all kinds of different inlays and different inlay materials. So what you get for $800 is a genuine Fender neck with genuine Fender specs. What you get for $350 is a Warmoth Fender replacement neck with myriad options that you can choose. So they're both good necks. There's no doubt about it. You may be also asking yourself, why did we buy this? We bought this with our own money. Why? Why did we buy this? Well, it's because we have a very special project coming up for which we wanted a genuine Fender neck, and I can't reveal too much about it yet, but keep your eye on this channel and you'll see it very soon. And so, that's a situation where even we wanted a genuine Fender neck. So, this isn't a thing where I'm trying to, well, I mean, obviously I work for Warmoth. I'm trying to push it to a Warmoth neck all the time. But I'm trying to be as impartial as I can. I think these are both great necks. They both serve 2 different needs. So again, $800, genuine Fender. $350, Fender, officially licensed Fender replacement, and myriad options that you can choose. But anyway, that's it. If you have more questions about any of Warmoth's officially licensed Fender replacement necks, or our Fender replacement bodies, or any of the original necks and bodies that we've designed and sell, or any of the hardware that we sell, or any of the merch that we sell, make sure and visit the Warmoth website. If you still have questions, give our customer service reps a call. They are always eager to help. And until next time, keep on picking.